You were filled with joy, giving her everything you could. Not just walls and roof, not just food on the table, but protection, devotion, loyalty, the kind of love this world barely remembers. Quiet, steady, unshakable. She used to look at you like you were her entire universe. She used to rest her head against your chest and whisper, "I feel safe with you." And you believed her. But time has a way of testing hearts. The whispers of friends, the glances from strangers, a restless hunger inside her for excitement, novelty, fantasy. And the man she once adored became too familiar, too steady, too grounded. And the storm in her soul mistook your steadiness of weakness. So she left, not in truth, but in lies. Accusations, rehearsed and sharp, crafted only to disguise a betrayal already chosen. She painted you as the villain, so she could crown herself the hero. She said you were cold. She said you were distant. She said you were not enough. But what she really means was, I am chasing something I cannot even name. And so she ran into the arms of another, a man who whispered sweet nothings, a man who never knew her scars and never cared to, a man who wanted her body but not her burdens. For a moment she felt powerful, desired, alive, but that fire was borrowed, and time always comes to claim what is owed. Because the man she betrayed, you did not die in that heartbreak. You rose slowly, painfully, yes, but you rose. The weight she had pressed upon your shoulders was gone, and without it you stood taller. You grew stronger. You sharpened your mind, your body, your purpose, your soul. Other women began to notice, women who admired the very qualities she had grown blind to, your strength, your calm, your wisdom. And her world started to crumble. The man she abandoned became the man she always swore she wanted. But you were no longer hers. You belonged to another, and you never looked back. Her fantasy withered. The new man vanished. The compliments fell silent, and reality crept in like winter. The children missed you. Their laughter faded. Their eyes grew dim. Her nights grew quieter, lonelier, and the mirror no longer reflected beauty, but consequence. She had betrayed a man who would have given his life for her, and in return, she destroyed the only sanctuary she ever truly had. Now she scrolls through your photos. She sees your joy, your strength, the light back in your eyes, and she realizes she is no longer part of the life she once owned. That is the cost of betrayal. Not just losing you, but losing the version of herself that only ever existed in the safety of your arms. After she left, she believed a new man was waiting just around the corner. Better, more exciting, more in tune with her desires. And for a moment there were many. They filled her phone with messages, told her she was beautiful, special, wanted. It felt like victory. But victory faded fast. One by one, men disappeared. And each time it ended, she whispered, "Men are trash. No one wants something real anymore. Why are there no good men left?" But never once did she ask, what if I was the one who ruined something real? What if the problem is not them, but what I chose to become? She did not see it then, but she was wandering a wilderness of her own making. She tried to force love into places it would not grow, draped herself in confidence, but behind closed doors the emptiness returned. Lying awake at night, scrolling through old memories, she whispered to herself, "Why does no one stay?" She blamed the men, all of them, society, timing, even the man she once married, the one who gave her everything. But the mirror never reflected back at her. She never questioned the moment she traded commitment for confusion, loyalty for fleeting attention, a strong man for hollow validation. And while she spiraled, you rose. From a distance, she watched the man she abandoned become someone she could no longer reach. Not just in body, but in spirit. The door she slammed was no longer hers to open. And deep inside, a quiet truth began to whisper, "This is the cost of betrayal. Not just loneliness, but the recognition that you were the one who broke something sacred and blamed the world for the fragments." By the time she was ready to look inward, you had already gone too far, and she was left behind. And then, one day, she came back, not with pride, not with fire, but with tears. Her voice, once sharp, distant, was now soft, trembling, carefully measured, as if each word might shattered her. She stood at your door, the same door she had walked away from without so much as a backward glance. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I need something else, but now I see I lost the only real thing I ever had." She spoke of the children, of lonely nights, of a world outside that had no place for her. She begged for safety, for warmth, for the sanctuary she once took for granted. You listened, quiet, still, but the ache was gone. The desperate longing had vanished because you had changed. You had rebuilt yourself, not as the man she left behind, but as the man you were always meant to be. Where once you might have dropped everything, rushed to her arms, forgiven every betrayal, this time you stood in calm silence and saw her truly. You saw the fear behind her words, the regret, the loneliness, but you also saw the truth. She hadn't returned for you. She returned because the world didn't love her the way you once did. And in that moment, you understood it was not your job to rescue her. It was your duty to protect your peace. With steady, unwavering calm, you said, "I don't hate you, but I no longer belong to you. The man you left died long ago, and the man standing here now owes himself more than to repeat the same story twice." She cried. You did not from cruelty, but because you had already cried enough for the silence she left behind. You had grieved the old version of her. You had grieved the old version of yourself, and now you were free. She turned away. No slammed door this time, just a quiet closing, the weight of a goodbye that was finally, irrevocably permanent. And as the door clicked shut, you did not look back. You turned toward the life you had built with your own hands, your own strength, your own healing. Because in the end, you did not need her return. You needed yourself, and that was exactly who you chose. She came back too late, not for love, but for comfort she could no longer find elsewhere. And you no longer belonged to her, because you had learned the hardest lesson of all. The only person you can ever truly depend on is yourself. And in that choice, you found freedom. That is the cost of betrayal, and the power of rising above it. If you need guidance, if you need strength, if you need the truth, reach out. If you want to walk this path with other men who refuse to stay broken, join my Telegram channel. Let's rise together.